Kia ora and welcome to Sam's Take, a series about entertainment news and reviews with me, Sam Realstone. This week I'm looking at Netflix's Marilyn Monroe psychological biopic, Blonde. Just a little heads up, this film is R18 and deals with some very intense events and themes, which I will be touching on a little bit in the review. Directed by Andrew Dominik, the story follows Ana de Armas as Norma Jeane / Marilyn Monroe through her life from the age of 7 through to her death at 36. I will start by saying that the film is almost oppressively grim. Similar to Princess Diana biopic Spencer earlier this year, there are psychological thriller aspects in the film that are fictional events to illustrate Norma Jeane's environment and mental state. There's elements of Stanley Kubrick in the cinematography by Chase Irvin, lots of close-ups keep it claustrophobic while also focusing on de Armas' performance, and lots of sparse, wide shots to show her isolation. Light is also used throughout the film to show the haziness of her existence and mental state. Nothing is ever stable, secure, or solid. Tension wraps around every scene, squeezing tighter and tighter, before the pressure releases momentarily. The idea is that Norma Jeane, or Marilyn, is constantly being watched either by others or her own psyche. We also don't always see who's talking to Norma Jeane in some scenes. The camera is entirely focused on her, as if we're forced to be the voyeur and adding to the film's notion of constant eyes. De Armas is basically monologuing the entire film and doing it amazingly. Her emotion is intense and she brings a real distinction between Norma Jeane and Marilyn. I would imagine there's already quite a bit of awards buzz around her performance already. De Armas wears the character fully inside and out with her vulnerability and rawness, helped by amazing costuming by Jennifer Johnson. Many iconic looks from famous photos of Marilyn are sprinkled throughout the film. But as I said, it's unrelentingly grim. Of course, Marilyn Monroe's story is a tragic one at points, but I'm just trying to understand why this was made to be so grim. Like, what was the artistic motivation? Marilyn isn't really given the chance to be her full self, to be warm or loving, to be a light in a fairly grim story. And like I say, of course her real life story had aspects of tragedy, but this film doesn't show the other side, which certainly existed. I just wonder why it was made. Yes, it highlights the brutality of multiple sexual assaults and the trauma that permeates survivors' lives. But this isn't necessary or artistic as such. It's kind of just trauma porn. I don't really get the point of biopics with fictional through lines or aspects. Biographical fiction is an oxymoron. If you're going to tell the story of someone, why would you add things that are untrue? It just makes for a bit of a recipe for mess. Of course, the film never professes to be true events, and reinventing a genre should always be welcome, but there are better ways than this. I do stress, Ana de Armas is amazing in this. She's giving it her entire self to this titan of a role. It's just the things happening around her that are questionable. So if you're up for almost 3 hours of near constant trauma bombardment, albeit with a great titular performance, then I'd say see what you think. But just know what the film is, and that, for me, it didn't make a huge amount of sense to be almost dehumanizing Norma Jeane and Marilyn Monroe. Though as always, do make your own opinion. Thanks so much for watching this episode of Sam's Take. I'll see you next time for more entertainment news and reviews.